How's that feel?
Still doesn't seem real, really, does it? I feel
Did
like
you?
My ringtone.
Yeah, I did. Last time I played this was when we just qualified. So
Yeah.
Spurs, I think Spurs had lost, and I played the full version. The full version is epic. I think they've changed it, haven't they? They've changed
done,
the.
Yeah, this time around. Yeah, which people have not been too pleased about, I don't think.
No. So hello, yes, welcome to the Villa Talks podcast. Quite apt that we play that music. Joining me this week, Mr. Rob Warner, the one and only. I've talked about you for a couple of weeks now since we've been back, promising that you'll be on, and you finally joined me. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, thanks, mate. Yeah, good. Excited to have finally been able to make myself available.
Yes.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. How's solo parenting going?
All right, yeah. For the avoidance of doubts, my wife's not dead and she hasn't left me either. She's just away for a couple of days, but yeah, it's all fun and games. It was quite helpful that the Villa match was on yesterday and it was on early.
Yeah.
My little girl's a big fan now. She comes down to the matches with us.
Oh, nice.
So
how old is she?
She's just turned 9 at the end of August.
Perfect age for her, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, she wanted to stay up. Well, not stay up, but she wanted to watch it. And then my little boy got an extra 2 hours on his iPad. So
got to be done, isn't it?
Yeah,
the things you do for Villa.
Exactly.
No, great news. Yes, obviously the return to the elite, the return to Champions League football, not the debut of Aston Villa in the Champions League. Yes, we've been there before. Yes, we've won it. Just to echo that point. But yes, excellent performance last night in Bayern against Young Boys. We'll be talking about the match, breaking it down, talking about what Rob thought of the match, who his key players were, key moments, etc. And just the general feeling of Villa as well, and how good it is to be a Villa fan in this day and age. I was talking to Rob just before the pod and talking about when he was first on the pod, him and Mark, back in 2020 in lockdown when we first started the pod. And it was a different world then, a different Villa completely, wasn't it, compared to what it is now?
Yeah, totally. I think we couldn't really have dreamed at that point that it was coming. But then perhaps there were some signs. During lockdown we put 7 past Liverpool, so perhaps we shouldn't be as surprised as we are.
True.
I think that there have been a few little signs there. But yeah, I mean, if you think of, so I saw the John McGinn tweet earlier that somebody had done 5 years ago. He was playing for us and we were getting battered by West Brom, and then here we are now, going away in Europe and winning really comfortably, to be honest.
Yeah. This is the one I saw here. John McGinn, 2019 scores his decisive goal in Championship. Not quite from the start, but then 5 years later, or nearly more than 5 years later, obviously captaining Villa in the Champions League. Just unbelievable feeling. How were you feeling going into the game then last night? Watching it on the telly, and obviously first game in Champions League proper.
Yeah. I was excited. I was looking forward to it all day. We were actually filming a new series of the Kit Breakdown, and I actually ended filming early so that we could get back from the studio in time for it. And was excited, but I think because it wasn't one of the giants of it. It didn't have the little bit of edge that I'll get when I'm watching us away at not even the Giants, but away at Leipzig or something where I'm expecting it to be a much harder game.
Yeah, I
think I'll have nerves as well as excitement, and I think that's where a lot of the fun comes from with the Champions League. I think it's there are games really now, which seems weird to say as a Villa fan, that I go into them thinking I'm going to be really disappointed if we don't win this. And that was the case last night. And then 20 minutes in, I was like, this competition's harder than it looks, isn't it? I was expecting this lot to be rubbish, and they're absolutely doing a job on us here.
We had to contend with a lot in that first 20 minutes. Obviously, the nervousness of being in the Champions League, it's just a different level, different expectation to the Conference League. That music playing at the beginning, with the players there lining up, and then obviously playing on a synthetic pitch as well. That first 20 minutes was pretty nervy, as you say, wasn't it? Took a while for us to get going. And Bogard in particular, struggled a little bit on the right hand side, didn't he?
Yeah, they seem to be targeting him, and I'm not surprised, really. It was going to be a big occasion for him. I think I can see the value in why Emery's wanting to give him game time out there. He's clearly a confident young lad. You know, he's not afraid to try and make passes. We've seen him misplace those passes and stuff, but for a young player, I'd rather see that than somebody who's shying away from it. I think as we got towards the end of the game and we were playing with Concert at right back and Carlos in the centre of defence, you know, I would expect that we'd see that on Saturday. But yeah, those first 20 minutes, I think it didn't feel like the occasion. It just felt like they couldn't control the ball, couldn't run with it.
Yeah.
You know, it was very difficult.
How important was that? Do you think that goal was obviously Aston McPhee special?
Yeah.
That first one. Really changed the flow of the game, didn't it, after that? Tielemans goal.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I felt like the tide was starting to turn a little bit at that point. But yeah, you're right. I think it kind of knocked the stuffing out of them as well. As much as I was sitting there thinking, oh, these are better than I was expecting, I could imagine their supporters were thinking, oh, no, we've actually got a real chance here against this lot. They're not as good as it's made out to be. And then you score a goal out of nothing and then suddenly just in complete control of the game, and it just changes everything, really.
Yeah, no, it really was. And Tielemans especially, I think, in that game, obviously quite apt, number 8 scoring. Obviously with the news of Gary Shaw and what's happened this week, you know, Tielemans scoring our first goal back in, you know, the top competition. You know, that's amazing, isn't it? It's just written, wasn't it, that he'd score? Yeah.
And I think, I mean, he's been absolutely superb, hasn't he, this season? We all talked a lot about when Dougie was leaving and what the impacts of that might be. You know, and I'd be hard pressed to say that we've missed him. To be honest, I don't look at, unless he was probably at the weekend when Onana came off, but then Barkley came in and did a great job. But I think with Tielemans, I mean, we've just looked at the comparison between what John McGinn was doing 5 years ago versus now. And then with Tielemans, I mean, look at him 12 months ago. People were saying,
so true.
Right, yeah. Nothing. He played in a League Cup game. So when we got beat by Everton, and everyone was like, it's rubbish, this lad. Everton fans were right. He's fat, he can't run, he's past it. You know, he's played too many games. And behold, you know, he's looking good. And I think the other thing that really interests me with Tielemans that I hadn't even paid attention to the other day, I knew he was younger than most people think. He's actually 2 years younger than Jack Grealish.
Is that right? Is that crazy? That's crazy, isn't it? I still think of Jack Grealish as like a 21-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. So Grealish, I think, turned 29 recently, and Tielemans is just 27. Which
that's mad, isn't it?
11 years of top flight football under his belt, and
I think he made his debut when he was 16 or 18 in the Champions League, didn't he?
For Anderlecht,
yeah, shows you how long he's been around.
Totally. So now it's. And I think as much as there's the risk of, you know, like a Rooney or somebody, will he run out of gas a little bit earlier because he started his career earlier? But I mean, you've got to think he looks after himself. He doesn't, you know, you never see him in the papers or any sort of problems like that. You know, he just looks an absolute class act on the ball, and now he's getting stuck in, and he even looks a bit quicker. It's superb. Number 8 for us to have in every sense.
Yeah, I mean, a quick comment then before we talk about Tielemans a bit more. It was always going to be asked, Rob. You know, you're on the show. It was going to happen. You know, it was going to happen. Quickly, just before we carry on with the game, what are your thoughts on the third kit yesterday?
I like it. I like it a lot more seeing it on pitch than I did when it was launched. I mean, it's a nice looking shirt anyway.
Yeah,
but it just felt a bit like, you know, it's just a third shirt. There's nothing uniquely Villa about it, but seeing it out there, it looked great. And I actually watched the match yesterday with Craig, who, for anybody who hasn't seen, is my co-host on the Kit Breakdown, and he was like, "What's that shirt you're wearing?" He'd missed the launch, and he said, "I think that's the nicest Villa shirt I've ever seen." He was like absolutely raving about it with the silver details and whatever else. And I think it is. It's a classy kit. We looked a bit like Scotland, but then, you know, John McGinn's captain, and perhaps the Scottish link leads back to William McGregor. I don't know if there's any of that.
Well, that's what I got told. So leading up to before the release, so maybe a couple of months ago, I got told, look, expect a navy blue kit in the style of a Scotland kit to sort of act as sort of a throwback to William McGregor, etc. Our roots, and that was the reason why we were going to have navy blue and a sort of a Scotland type kit. And then obviously they've come out with this marketing spiel around Champions League nights and trophies, and hence the silver, etc. Whether you believe that or not, whether they've spun that, it's anyone's guess. I think we know.
I've worked in the industry. I know how it works.
Exactly. Yeah. But I really like the kit. I think it's a really classy kit.
Yeah,
I think the actual badge looks really good in this sort of color and this detail as well. But yeah, really, really nice kit. Quite happy with it. I actually think I always buy one kit. I don't buy more than one kit a year. And normally towards the end of the season, when it gets a bit cheaper, I think this is the one I want to go for.
I'm thinking the same, actually. I feel like I'm on the verge of blagging a home shirt from a particular retailer that sponsors my YouTube channel.
Surely, I mean, you should get all the perks. Surely, given your background,
I think so, wouldn't you? But
yeah. I mean, just so people know, because you've been on the show before, and you've been on so many different shows. Obviously, on Claret and Blue Pod, you've been For the Love of Paul McGrath. You've been on loads of different shows, and people know you everywhere. But just for people who don't know you, Rob, just explain quickly your background. Sorry, I should have started off with that. Maybe.
Yeah. Rather than just assuming that everyone knows I'm a supposed kit aficionado. I'm originally was a football kit designer for 10 years of my career. So started with Puma, did 6 years with them, designed the Italy kit that won the World Cup in 2006. Amongst other shirts, designed the Stuttgart kit that won the Bundesliga as well when Hitzelsperger was playing for them. Nice. And then after leaving Puma, went to work at Umbro for 5 years. And they designed England, Manchester City for the famous Aguero moment, and various other Umbro teams as well. And then over the last few years, just been doing more design consulting work for brands, not so much in football, but elsewhere. And then alongside that, myself and my business partner, Craig, who designed the 2002 Brazil kit. We set up an online course, Spark Design Academy, where people can go and learn how to design football kits. And then off the back of that, we did a few adverts for it, reviewing kits, got a lot of traction on that, ended up turning that into a YouTube channel. And we've had the likes of Jamie Carragher on there, and Peter Wooten, the lead singer of The Farm, and a few other bods. So
pretty big deal. You're a pretty big deal, Rob. You're a pretty big deal.
So, but I don't know if I really am. Legend in my own time.
I mean, that's a hell of a CV as well, because obviously you could design the best kits in the world, but if they never achieve anything in terms of the teams, then they sort of get forgotten. Apart from obviously the obvious.
Look plays a certain role, but
but I mean that's massive. The Aguero moment, obviously the Italy World Cup winning kit, Stuttgart. I didn't know about the Stuttgart one. I've talked to you so many times. We know each other obviously away from this podcast, but I didn't realize that kit was yours as well. So yeah, massive.
Yeah, there's been quite a few. It's funny actually that we've got a couple of my old teams in the Champions League as well. So Monaco was another one that I did. I actually went to I'll do a big name drop here. So when Monaco got to the Champions League final against Porto, there was Mourinho's first final.
Yeah.
I actually went to that as a guest of UEFA. So that was like full prawn sandwiches.
Wow.
It was amazing.
You sold out. I see.
Oh, it was never in doubt, mate. Anybody who knows me, I'll do anything for a VIP ticket.
Oh, mate, I'm with you, mate. I'm right there, mate. Yeah. Heck out. No, thanks. I'll do hospitality.
Exactly. Everyone's like, no, we can't be having the terrace view, getting booed, and I quite like the sound of that actually. I haven't sat in there yet, but I don't mind. I'll try it out. I'm not 100% on board with having hospitality in the whole end, but it's not really hospitality, is it? It's just a couple of drinks, and because you get the same seat, you just get a nicer area to sit in.
in between the game. Let's move back onto the game then. Here, I'll bring this up, and we'll go back to Tielemans. So this is from Who Scored and their ratings as well from the game. Hopefully you can see this. Does that come up okay? There we go. Yeah. So Tielemans there, star man, 8.4 rating from Who Scored. We've talked about it, we've raved about him, but him and Onana, it's a different type of midfield pairing to Kamara and Luiz, isn't it? But still very, very effective.
Yeah, definitely. I think the interesting thing with the two of them is you'd look at Tielemans, not just in terms of his stature, but his style of play, and think, no, he can't really sit deep, but he can, and he does, and he's showing it. And then with Onana being, 6'15" or however tall he is, you think you'd look at him and think, well, he's either a centre half, a defensive midfielder, or a Hail Mary striker for the last 10 minutes. But he's not. He's getting up and down the pitch and scored a good goal, as much as the keeper was a little bit unsighted yesterday. He's put that absolutely on the only spot the keeper wouldn't have really got to it. So, I think they're showing that they're very good footballers. The thing that Tielemans gives us, playing deeper, as much as defensively he's not going to be as strong as maybe a Kamara, he's so good on the ball that if there's not when Pau's got the ball and wants to play a more midfield splitting pass, I guess, through the lines to Rodgers or somebody, or to Ramsey, if that's not on, he's got Tielemans as kind of the shorter option. And when the ball goes into Tielemans, I never really feel like he's going to give it away. I think with Onana, we saw it against Everton at the weekend. He got it caught under his feet and whatever, but we saw Kamara doing that 12 months ago as well. So I'd like to think we'll get to a place where he's as sure-footed as Tielemans, but having somebody like Tielemans next to you, or right in the middle of the pitch, it's got to be a big advantage. Whoever's got the ball knows they can lay it off to him and then going back to another Villa shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. And also, how important are these here? These three and Duran, Rodgers, Ramsey, and Watkins and Duran, in terms of, their ball carrying ability, what they can do in terms of their link up play, as we saw yesterday and we've seen so far this season. That is the future of Villa attacking, isn't it? Those three and alongside Duran.
Definitely. With Rodgers, it's always an easy thing to do with players is to look and say, oh, he reminds me of so-and-so. And I think with Rodgers, I was saying towards the back end of last season, I feel like he's got a bit of the Yaya Tourés about him. He's a strong lad. I don't think he's as tall as Yaya Touré, but he's a big lad. And people just bounce off him. And we saw it again last night, and I think defensively, he's probably not got as much as a Touré, but then he's got, a little bit more of the twinkle toes about him. And I just feel excited every time he gets the ball. And, with his cheeky grin and whatever, it's impossible to not want to see him do well. I think Ramsey had a good game. I saw a few people online saying that they didn't necessarily agree with that, but I think he's good at being that player on the left flank, knowing that Unai wants to attack down the left. He's really good at holding the ball up there and then slipping in Digne, just like Grealish was for us for that period as well, where he managed to make Matt Targett look like a good player.
Which is hard to do. Which is hard to do. Let's be honest.
Exactly, same sort of thing. But you could, to use the phrase I don't really like, but Ramsey's numbers are looking better than Grealish's. He scored again last night.
I know, yeah, it's true. But I think Ramsey's I don't know what others have said. I haven't read comments or anything like that yet. I haven't had time, but I thought he was fantastic yesterday, Ramsey. I thought he was really, really top of his game and back to his best. One of his best games since before he got injured, I would say. And really him, Rodgers, obviously a good mates off the field. Rodgers, I don't know if you saw the Rodgers interview with Sky Sports. He talked about how Ramsey was on the phone to him post the FA Cup game when he was playing for Middlesbrough, and was asking all sort of weird questions around his availability and he was thinking what's going on here. Yeah, it was really interesting. Yeah. So it was obviously tapping him up basically. But those two link up really well. I really like the interplay between Luca Dean, Tielemans, Pau Torres, and Ramsey on the left hand side.
Yeah.
We saw it against Everton, and we saw it again a little bit again yesterday. Although yesterday was a bit more, I would say, transitional. We were able to get them on the break quite easily. But against Everton in particular and other teams, the way that they moved the opposition around between the four of them, interlinking with Onana or a Barkley, whoever, and then with one of McGinn or Rodgers coming inside to the centre to provide a different option. It's really interesting to watch. And obviously, I imagine they must work on this in the training field in terms of that interplay that they have.
Yeah, definitely. I think you make a good point, really, that yesterday there was more space to be able to do that. Whereas against Everton, they were so compact and they were sitting so deep, and still they were able to get Digne in behind and be able to get the ball over, which just speaks absolute volumes to the quality of the runs, of the passes, whatever else. I was really, really impressed in both games in different ways at how they managed different types of pressure and different structures that they were coming up against.
Yeah, and young boys, obviously, the second goal, they were their own worst enemies, weren't they? Because their first goal, they've sort of left Tielemans obviously unmarked, and he scores a goal. Their second goal, Rodgers does really well, nicks it past the player, tries to play a ball in to Watkins, and the defender cuts it out. Then what happens thereafter? I mean, it's just absolute comedy, isn't it? It's absolute chaos. And I thought, at first, the keeper had broken Watkins' leg the way he kicked him. But I didn't really celebrate. Did you celebrate? I didn't really know what was going on, to be honest.
Oh, I did, yeah. I was celebrating because I thought it's either the goal or the penalty if he's already blown his whistle. I felt a bit sorry for Watkins yesterday because he missed a decent chance that he'd be kicking himself for. But then, I mean, he completely earned us that goal. You talk about assists, but realistically, that was as good as a goal. That speed of thought, and then the one that was disallowed was just an absolute joke.
What? I still don't get it. Has it hit his hand after it's hit his chest, or
I don't think it's hit his hand at all.
I still don't know how that's not been given.
Yeah, I think it's another one of those with VAR it's just applied differently in different competitions and different jurisdictions. Not good. I thought the referee in general had a really good game, though, to be honest.
Yeah, he let a few things go as well, which make the game a lot more pleasant to watch. I thought, but they're the sort of key stats from the game. Shots, 20 shots in total, 7 on target. Pass success rate, 86%. Not particularly high, but pretty decent. Again, I think that first 20 minutes we were a bit, we were under the cosh a little bit. We weren't playing that well, and we're a few loose passes, and then after that we saw to get our composure back. This was an interesting one. Tackles. I don't know if I was looking at this. Yeah. So I thought they were quite a little bit dirty. I thought young boys. Not two words I should use in the same sentence, but
dirty young boys.
Dirty young boys. But I thought they were a little bit nasty in the way they played. But I don't know what you thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you can get away with it, that's the sort of thing you're going to come up against. I mean, there were no Everton, that's for sure.
No,
but
true.
Yeah, I mean, they were keen to make their presence known. I mean, I think they're clearly underdogs. They're not having a great season themselves, despite the domestic pedigree they've got. So yeah, why wouldn't you have a little go and see what you can get away with? And I think particularly with Bogard, it was interesting seeing there that even though he only played, was it only even half a game he played, wasn't it? Came off at half time, did it?
Maybe 60 minutes, I think, 55, maybe something like that. Yeah,
that's right. So yeah, that he still had a high number of tackles, and I think it was for him, it was a real mixed bag where he looks comfortable going in for a tackle and winning the ball, but also there were a few times where he just got overwhelmed. But they were clearly having a go at him, and that Ugrinic was being positioned out that side as a strong player and also clearly very good with his right foot, whether that was from set pieces or just whipping the ball in from out there. It was an obvious tactic of mob Bogard and then get Ugrinic to try and either have a pop or get it into the box. Yeah.
And then we talked about disallowed goal there. Let's talk about the other disallowed goal. Kevin G just said, just turned into here. dirty young boys and thought, but yeah, good timing, mate. Yeah,
You've come to the right place, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You're in good
yeah.
hands.
You're in good hands, mate. You're in good hands. Duran again comes on.
Yeah.
I know it's disallowed, but that was a great move and a sweeping finish, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, the finish is great, and I feel like already, which is probably unfair on him, already we're at the point of like he just scores good goals. So we know, as much as it's amazing to look at, you just know that that's what he's capable of. I think what's exciting for me this season is seeing how much more he's able to get involved in the build up towards goals, whether that's getting stuck in and nicking the ball away in the lead up to his goal against Everton, or whether it's yesterday he just seemed to be able to pick passes out and move the ball around. Really exciting to see what he's doing, and I feel like Morgan Rogers has probably got him under his wing a little bit as well, which seems weird, as if Morgan Rogers is some sort of experienced, seasoned old pro. But I think just making him feel quite part of it. I was reading at the weekend, and I forget which player it was saying that, might have been Conser, was saying that with Duran, he's a good lad and a good laugh, but he keeps himself to himself in the changing rooms and stuff, which surprised me a little bit. So you do wonder if some of, has he got a little bit of insecurity about him, and some of this bravado is a bit of that. It's easy to forget he's such a young kid, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was always on the side of the fence of, he's a young lad. He's come from a different country, obviously played in America, but he's 19, 20 years old, new country, new league, different culture. It's difficult. It's really difficult for someone like that, and you react in different ways. Some people go in the shell, some people act out. It's different, and who knows what's going in his head. But he definitely does seem to have come back a different player this summer.
And it's must be hard for him sitting there being substitute when he's, he knows he's on the journey to being the greatest striker of all time. He's obviously capable of it, because nobody ever tells him. You must do it all the time in training, because nobody ever tells him like not to shoot.
Yeah. Barkley was almost like, go for it, mate. Have a go. No, great goal. And I mean, I knew it was going to be disallowed. I just knew it was going to be disallowed. But it was sort of, someone mentioned there 6-7 passes beforehand in the other half. So much happened after that. I don't know. I don't know when the cutoff point is when it comes to those things.
No, totally. It's one of those where I think, if I was very disappointed, but I feel like if it was the other way around, I probably would have been saying, nah, that's. You can't have that. It's clearly a handball. But I also feel like that probably would have been a bit of Villa bias, to be honest, on my part, if that was the way I was going to look at it, of the feeling hard done by. So yeah, I don't know. It's another example of, I don't think it's really clear enough anymore. I consider myself very well read when it comes to football over the years. I feel like I don't really understand a lot of the rules now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same. And again, we'll see the weekend against Wolves. We'll see a completely different style of refereeing, different parameters when it comes to making decisions, or like that. When it comes to penalty decisions, etc. We just, it's inconsistency, isn't it? It's difficult. It really is difficult. I don't feel like an old fogey, but I do miss the way it was before, where it was just sort of, you didn't get the decision while leaving yourself out over the season type thing. Apart from Man United, obviously, who are the obvious exception.
I think the trouble was, without disappearing down that rabbit hole, that with Sky Sports News being 24 hours a day, just there was so much scrutiny on those decisions that it was becoming ridiculous in itself.
Yeah,
like, why, everyone else can see it. Look at this; it's so obvious. They play it back frame by frame. I still believe it's a good technology. I just think, just badly implemented, I think.
So obviously we're maybe closing off the show in a second, but how do you feel after that match? How proud are you of the team? How do you feel about Villa as a team, as a club, compared to where we've been, and the maturity and how we handled that occasion as well?
Yeah, I think really good. I'm still pinching myself a little bit in terms of 2-0 down against Everton, and I was sat there thinking, oh, the Arsenal fans were talking about second season of Emery and whatever, is this it? Because we haven't looked really convincing in any game yet. Even though the evidence of my eyes was there before me that we were 2-0 down, but we were strolling it. I think last night, the first 20 minutes, I actually thought we were in real trouble, and then put them to bed. I think something that hasn't been talked about in amongst all the excitement is it was a clean sheet. When was the last time we got one of them, and away from home in the Champions League group stages, or whatever it's called now, but ultimately the bit that's hard to get into. We've gone there and kept a clean sheet, and I think that's really important as well as scoring 3 and having 2 disallowed. I mean, Bayern Munich scored 9 last night, but they're still letting 2. So,
God, that is scary proposition, isn't it?
And I think that'll be a scary game as well in 2 weeks' time. I think that will be not just a bigger test because they're such a good team, but Villa Park, how tense and nervous will it be? I mean, Olympiacos was a party atmosphere, but there was definitely a bit of an atmosphere as well around the stadium of, there's a lot riding on this one. This is quite important. But I don't know if we've really had that in such a high-profile game.
But do you think we've got the pressures off a little bit because of the new format and the fact that we probably only really need to win 4 games out of the 8 to go through, and we've done one of already and comfortably as well. I understand, obviously, we're not going to play him home, and it's not going to be home and away. So that's done. But it's obviously a big occasion with Gary Shaw passing as well.
Yeah,
the fans are going to be right up for it. It's sort of we might lose. It doesn't matter too much. It's not like it's going to kick us out of the competition. So I do wonder maybe that will play into it a little bit. But obviously a difficult team, isn't it? Very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a good enough team to beat them. We're there on merit. They didn't win their league last season. I think if past experience has shown us anything, Harry Kane will go down easily and win a penalty against us. Because he always does, although he hasn't got.
I think he scored 3 penalties yesterday. I think.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Hat-trick of penalties. There we go.
It must have been Stockley Park for the VAR. So I think it'd be a big ask to keep a clean sheet against them for a number of reasons. But I also think, they rely a lot on having quick, strong fullbacks, and that doesn't really faze us because of our style of play. We're a bit more intricate and clever than that. So that's not really a massive advantage for them. I think the big one will be how will Rodgers get on, because he really can be that much of a difference maker. That if he plays like he did against Arsenal and they defend him like Arsenal did, then we could be in for an all-timer in terms of big night out at Villa Park.
Yeah, big one to look forward to. And obviously before then, we've got the Wolves game on this weekend as well, another big game. I was going to say a bogey side, but obviously we beat them at home last year. You're going to that match, Wolves game?
Yeah, I'll be at that. Yeah, so me and my little girl will be at quite a lot of games this season. So,
nice. Lovely, mate.
Yeah, my mom's a Wolves supporter, so it's
really?
Wow. So it's the Warner Classico this weekend.
That's what we're going to entitle it. So we'll do the post-match next week. We'll call it that.
Warner Classico.
Love that.
So I'm looking forward to that one. I think always feels like a funny one, Wolves, because much like Leicester and those sorts of teams, they see us as rivals and we don't really. So I think they do get a bit of an advantage because it just means a lot more to their supporters, whereas to us it's a bit like another game. And they've got some good players and a good manager. They can hurt us. So I think we've got to be smart going into it. And I think knowing the capabilities they've got out wide at both kind of midfield and fullback. Yeah. As much as I'm a big advocate for Bogard cutting his teeth, I'd want to see Consa there and Carlos next to Torres in the middle.
Sounds good. Yep. Yeah. No. Definitely. Yeah. So we'll be back next week with the post-match rant, post the Wolves game. Hopefully Rob can join us as well next week. Hopefully you enjoy the game. I can't go, unfortunately. It's my daughter's birthday on Saturday, so She's not into Villa. Well, she does love Villa, but she's not into it like your daughter, I'm afraid. Same age as well. So
okay.
we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll slowly
We'll go to a game
slowly
together when she's got a little mate to meet down there.
That's a good idea. That's a great idea. Actually.
In
We did go to the Villa women's game against Leicester. I think it was season before last, and she absolutely loved that. She prefers I got her the away kit. She got the WSL patches on instead, so she prefers it. She goes, it's less loud. She finds the home games a bit.
Yeah, see, Amelia was the other way around. So we took my little boy. It was my little boy's birthday when we played. That might have been Leicester last season at Villa Park. And we beat him 5-0 or something. It was my little lad's birthday, and we all went down as a family. And I was thinking you might get my little boy into it. They weren't interested. And she was like, that was great. Can we go to another game? So we went to another one the week after. And then she was like, I want to go and see the men's team because there's not enough swearing and shouting at the women's matches. And that was it. We took her to got her on the whole end for the first time against Ajax, and that was it.
Nice. Love it. That's great. Hopefully I'll get him to meet, and then she can rub off on mine, and then my son knows, as you know, we've talked about. I put it on this pod. He's really into it at the moment. So that's great. Thanks again, Rob, for your time. Appreciate it, mate. I know you're a busy guy. Solo parenting. I've been there, mate, and I'm going to be
there. One crying in the kitchen, actually. So
I've had one scratching at the door. I don't know who it is, but I think it's the youngest who's been scratching the door. So.
They go feral as soon as you turn on a webcam. The kids just go feral.
Oh, I know it is. Yeah, anytime a meetings happen, it's like, can I come in, Dad? Can I come in? But yeah, maybe we'll get them on the pod. Maybe we'll do that instead. We'll do like a joint pod. We'll get the kids around. Have a nice chat.
Kobe normally announces himself by coming. I've got a little cat flap just across there, so the cat can get in and out of the office. And he actually got himself wedged in the cat flap when I was on a conference call once. Because obviously everybody clocked it before I did. So,
brilliant.
You might want to turn around, Rob. Yes.
Yeah. Moosey normally strolls in with his Musa, my son. He normally strolls in with his top off during my meetings because he gets hot, so he just takes his top off and walks around like he owns the house.
Absolute power play that is. I'm going to start doing that.
He's trying. I think he's trying to become the alpha male in the house.
Nailing it as well.
All right, mate. Nice one. Thank you all for watching and listening. A short one this week, but just wanted to get something in after yesterday's historic win. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do subscribe and follow the podcast if you're on audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. Like I said, we're trying to grow the channel back up again after our initial success, and then going away for a bit, and then being a bit ad hoc, trying to be a bit more consistent now. And Rob joining the team. He's part of the squad. He's in the Champions League squad. So big signing this year. Big signing.
Get me on nice and regular, so I don't have to do a John Duran and hang around on the
we'll see
on Instagram next summer.
Do you just compare yourself? Usually, you're going to be a world-class striker, then world-class podder.
Well, hey, there's only one way to find out. You got to throw him in at the deep end.
Yes, you do. Exactly right. And you've come out firing, mate. I must say, you've done brilliant today. You're an experienced head, though, aren't you? I won't say you're John Duran. You're not really, are you? Because you've been around the game. You know the podcast world. But yes, you are. Yeah, you're the Jack Grealish of podcasting, I would say. looks. You always think he's younger than he actually is.
It's the opposite with me.
All right, man. Well, enjoy the game on Saturday 3:00, isn't it? Yeah. The game at 3:00. Hope your daughter enjoys it, and up the Villa.
Nice one. Up the Villa, mate.